Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Jeff and Paper Gary. It is January the 25th, Sunday, still super cold out here. Got hit with our second wave of snow, which in Oklahoma isn't saying all that much. I know there are other parts of the country that are getting it a whole lot worse than we are. So hope everyone is staying warm and maintaining their power and not getting out on the icy road. So take care of yourselves and each other. We're going to continue today wrapping up the main structure of the horizontal stab. So yesterday ended with us fading off into the darkness on riveting because I just let the battery go dead. You guys didn't need to see me buck rivet after rivet after rivet after rivet. So thankfully, all the rivet bucking in the horizontal stab is done, and I'm quite happy with the way everything turned out. Yes, there were a few rivets that I had to drill out and redo, and then maybe even drill out again and redo, but I will say that I'm highly proficient now in the removal of rivets and getting better at the installation of rivets. So making progress in that arena. It is no longer such a task that brings anxiety or makes me nervous. It is something that I just don't really look forward to, but can do now. And I continue to gain proficiency in there and learn every time I buck a rivet. So that is good news in that arena. So today is reviewing some of the instructions for the rear horizontal stabilizer spar. I know there are some points in there that I need to go ream with that number 11 reamer that I purchased from Brown Tool not too long ago. So I'm going to go back and double check my notes, make sure I get those, and then everything else from here on out is using the squeezer. So we'll be getting into that today. Might even use some of those yokes that I got yesterday from Clemson Aeronautics, and we'll see how things go. So hang out and let's see what we learn. So this becomes the final video of what will be the main structure of the horizontal stab. So had a few rivets left to go squeeze on here, and this was really the downhill portion. Everything went together well, and I've got that pneumatic hydraulic squeezer, so in it went. Now I did run into a spot here where I paused for way too long trying to figure something out that was not very clear in the instructions. So there is a portion right where that center hinge is. So if you're looking at that aft spar, there's that big hinge block there. And the instructions say to trim away some of the skin to allow clearance of the elevator bell crank. And it even points you to a drawing and reference of, figure A or whatever, but it doesn't give any dimensions as to what you should do or how much you should trim that. So I sat here for a long time, not wanting to go anywhere until I figured out how to trim that skin. And then after way too long of a time and a post to the Slack community, just about the time that I got the answer from them, I came to the same conclusion of I don't need to cut it now. I can cut it later, and let me back up for a second. It is not a trimming of the skin. It is a trimming of the spar itself, not the reinforcement bars, but the aft spar. So the deal is the skin doesn't go off into that area, so I can trim that spar without having to worry about damaging the skin. And I wasn't thinking that far ahead or wasn't visualizing that properly in my brain. So I let that stop me for a little bit, but came to the conclusion that gets done later during the installation of the elevators themselves. So this is just going through those end ribs, both inboard, outboard, and then the aft spar that goes in there, and using that squeezer to go squeeze these things. And it works really well. I don't think that there was any need for the special yokes, right? Some of the leading edge rivets on both the 706 side and even there on the inboard side, I think that's the HS00003 and 05. It's a little tough to get in there, but if you angle the hydraulic squeezer, now I will say this is pertinent for the hydraulic squeezer, not whatever squeezer you might be using. I know some of the pneumatic ones have a little bit larger head on there or body. I was able to get that in there. And if you hold it just right, like the very first ones have a bit of a clearance issue until that ram starts to move. So you kind of have to work at it a little bit and be ready to push that rivet down into place, or at least just not hold the squeezer in place and let the ram work against you, if that makes sense. But the second that ram starts to move, it starts to slide right in there. Now, you will see that I did switch the yokes on this. And I think I talked about this in subsequent videos, or maybe I talked about it previously. I will say that in the factory yoke that came with the hydraulic squeezer, there's flex in that thing, and there's quite a bit of flex. And we talked about the inconsistency in squeezing rivets and what kind of quality that'll lead to. This one from Clemson Aeronautics that was sent to me has zero flex whatsoever, and this is the that what they call the heavy duty yoke. And so it's considerably heavier, like as you pick it up and feel it in your hand, than the factory one that comes with the hydraulic squeezer, and it does a really great job at squeezing those rivets. So really happy with that product. Thank you, Hisham from Clemson Aeronautics. Great piece of tooling that you have there, and look forward to using out some of the other ones that you sent me. So you'll see in the next video, I think, that we post, or maybe the next video, where we get into mounting the hydraulic squeezer to the frame that also came from Clemson Aeronautics, and using that to dimple skins, leaving both your hands free and being able to operate the squeezer with the foot pedal. So that's been really nice. We'll talk about that more in the future. This is me just buttoning it up and being done with a horizontal stab. I'll turn it over to live action Jeff for the closeout. So thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate everybody following along, and hope you're enjoying the videos. If you are, let me hear about it. If you're not, let me hear about it as well. Until next time, this is voiceover Jeff out, and we'll turn over to live action Jeff. See you guys later.
Hey everyone, my GoPro battery went dead yet again, and since I was just squeezing rivets, I didn't take the time to replace it because there's only so much of that you guys can watch. So unfortunately, what you didn't get to see was me squeeze the final rivets in the assembly of the horizontal stabilizer. So I'm finally there. It feels great. I gotta tell you, this is one of those milestones that you hit that really rejuvenates you and brings back a lot of energy, and reminds you of how much fun this really is. And really gives you a boost. So really had a lot of fun doing this overall. There were some ups and downs and a whole lot of lessons learned, and they were all really valuable. So just a little bit of closeout today. I don't think there's a whole lot I can tell you about squeezing the rest of the rivets. So we watched previous videos where I did the bucking. Squeezing was all pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. There are a few that are kind of tight to get to when you get down to the nose or leading edge side of the 706 rib, but if you position your squeezer in there just right, you can get it in there and hit those without a problem. So everything went in really well. Did the pulled rivets on the 8th row here for the the 708 rib that's inboard. So those are all good, and that's about it. I do want to point out that in today's work, I did go ahead and use the yoke that was sent to me by Clemson Aeronautics. Hisham, if you're watching, I would love for you to drop a comment in there and tell me why this thing has the holes in here. A lot of the yokes that Clemson Aeronautics make are designed with the purpose of putting them inside a fixture to leave your hands free so you can go do work. That's probably the case for this one. I don't remember exactly how or where that works, but that is my guess. I didn't have to use this yoke today. I had this yoke that came with the squeezer, but I wanted to try this out. And if you remember me mentioning the other day, I said something about watching this yoke actually flex while I'm trying to squeeze rivets or dimple. And this one absolutely does not. As you can see, there's a lot more mass up here around this area where this one does not have. And my guess is, right, just a guess, they're probably not made out of the same quality of steel, right? Why does that matter? Well, when you have a bit of flexing coming in here, something that you can't control, that's a variable outside of your control that is going to impact the quality of your riveting in your work. I truly believe that. Now, is it a great deal of quality? I don't know. However, there are a few variables that we can't always control. Sometimes our regulator pressure might drop off a little bit, our air compressor is low, And when we add up those factors, right, that might be enough to give us the difference between a good squeeze or a bad squeeze, or a good set or a bad set. And so why risk it? If I'm going to spend my money to buy yokes, I'm going to buy the good one that doesn't flex on me versus this one that is clearly not made in America, and does have a bit of flex to it. So initial reports so far on the Clemson Aeronautics yoke, made in America, really nice product, really stout, no flex whatsoever, and worked really well for me today. I will say the tolerances on here are very tight, so when I swap these out, where this one kind of flops in and not real easy, I had to be pretty purposeful to get this one in and line it up there. It wasn't a problem, but that tells me that the ram sliding up in here, right on this squeezer, which I've heard from other people has been known to be a little bit problematic. There's a little screw inside there, so sometimes that thing gets loose and it breaks. This yoke is going to hold that thing perfectly centered, which also is going to drive your quality because you don't have any play or any slack in there. It's a much tighter fit. So I really like the yoke. Thank you very much, Hisham and Clemson Aeronautics, for setting that out. We'll give more updates on it later as I continue to use it and its intended purpose and wherever it's supposed to be fixed, so that I can be hands-free operation from a yoke or squeezer standpoint. So with that, everybody, that's going to be the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button and the share button if you're so inclined. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Stay tuned. There's more to come. We're going to be starting soon on the rudder, or continuing on the rudder, and on the elevators. And we'll keep going from there. So until next time, friends, take care of yourselves and each other. This is Jeff and Paper Gary out.